story time from our pre-Rift event, what legends are taking over Unleashed, and the Aurora debate rages on. All that and more on this week's episode of The Winning Point. Any pre-Rifters?
Not me, sadly.
Pre-Rifters.
I was at an event for a different game, and there was a pre-rift happening at a table in a food court next to me. But I was playing the other game that I was there to play. So I've been in like the aura of a pre-rift, but I
been
have not
nearby a pre-rift.
Yeah,
I was in a couple pre-rifts.
Nice.
I did a couple.
Yeah.
Wait, why are you like talking around like you can't say the words Magic the Gathering on our own show?
I guess we can say Magic the Gathering. That's true. Sorry, I'm too used to like.
He's just getting in the zone.
I'm too used to
Yes,
self-censoring.
in other
when I have a
popular
microphone in front of me.
TCG developed from the 90s, which I was playing this weekend at undisclosed location in the western part of the United States.
One of the 3 deserts in that part of the country.
One of the 3 deserts in that part of the country on one of the episodes of The Winning Point, episode number 45,
5?
I think.
45,
Yeah,
46?
crazy.
We're in there
Yeah.
somewhere. That is crazy.
45.
Let's go.
Wow, got it right.
What are we going to do
on
for
the-
50, though?
Ooh,
Oh, true.
I was actually
Gotta
thinking
start
that
planning.
today. Let us know in the comments below what we should do for episode 50 because I don't know what we should do. Wait, hold on. Okay, here's my pitch. Full episode cold open. There's just no actual episode. It's just a cold open the whole episode. Type a 1 in the comments if you want to see
Holy.
Basically what these episodes are
a
anyway.
full episode of cold open.
If we're being
basically it.
fully honest with ourselves.
That's a dropout show. Let's be real. We just stole that from Game Changer.
I would happily steal many things from that show.
Very true.
That's a good one. But we have got other things that aren't stolen from dropouts to talk about, including some pre-rift action. But
Mhm.
before that, we've got some awesome play mats over at shop.turnemsideways.gg, including teasers coming soon. LeBlanc and Pike.
Yeah, LeBlanc and Pike should be available for pre-order during RQ Sydney. And yeah, it's going to be very exciting. And speaking of, we'll be co-streaming RQ Sydney
Nice.
here on the channel, as well as, speaking of, Pastry Time, going to be on the official main broadcast.
It's going to be
I will
not
streaming.
co-streaming, just regular streaming.
Yeah, we'll be getting to hang out with Pastry, just we can't actually talk to him.
Yeah, I'll make
Hold
sure
on,
to
wait,
say
we
something
can-
for you
we
guys
can-
to listen to.
I was going to say, we
Nice.
can develop some codes right now. So
Yeah.
if Pastry says the word, we know that he's talking to us.
Yeah, we know he's talking to us. There we go. Perfect. We also have the website, turnemsideways.gg, where we actually have a blog now with some posts. Our good friend Crowan has been writing some articles about Riftbound on there. And then the Unleashed tier list should be ready sometime next week. Working on it with Priz and Randy and trying to get it done. But we want to make sure it's a good product by the time we release it. So yeah, should be sometime before RQ Sydney is the goal that we'll have that up for you all with some deck insights on every single deck in Riftbound.
You got time.
I got time.
But
I'll
that
get
sounds
Yeah,
hype.
you got it.
That website's dope. I feel like it's everyone's first port of call now when new the meta changes or a new set drops. So
Mhm.
big shout outs to everyone working on that. I frequently steal their homework and it's great.
Good, that's the
That
point.
that is the way to do it. Doing the homework so that you don't have to, just like real high school.
I never did homework in high school. This is the most homework I've done in my entire life.
I was that student that would like look like I wasn't paying attention, but could just like used to be able to recite everything that was said. So they'd be like, "John, what did I just say?" Like to try to get me, and then I would recite everything that they said word for word, and the teacher would be like, "I'm never calling that bluff again. I just got bamboozled in
There
person."
you go. There you go. Well, I bamboozled
can't do
all
that
of my
anymore.
opponents at a pre-rift this weekend.
Nice.
It was I played 2. I don't know about the rest of you guys. I know
This May.
Pastry could not get to any. I was too busy
Bageled
playing
out.
nondescript card
Ooh.
game at big event.
I'm sorry, I wanted to go.
That's
It
fine. You're gonna have
happens.
plenty of Riftbound these next few weekends here.
Peru.
Coming your way. But yeah, I want to talk a little bit about pre-rift and what has felt good. My first one, I did pull a Diana. That was kind of sick. An overnumbered Diana.
Nice.
Which was
Very jealous.
super lucky.
Not mad.
But my
Nice.
pool was big useless.
Sweet.
I just had
Happy for you.
a Kha'Zix deck that was just like a bunch of guys, a bunch of numbers, in an Alpha Strike. It's just a bunch of numbers and one Alpha Strike. And every game I drew Alpha Strike, I won. And every game I didn't draw Alpha Strike, it wasn't that great. So it went like 2-1 in my first. And then the second one, I pulled Kha'Zix as the opener pack again. And before even opening it, I was like, okay, well, I know what's in here. I'm just going to start opening my packs. My first pack, I pull a LeBlanc Legend and a Rift Herald. I was like, oh, that looks pretty good.
Guess I'm
Then
playing that.
Then I pulled a Rengar Unseen and an Otacon, and I said, well, that's the deck. So then it's just shove every single red, yellow, and blue card into the deck, and that was my pool, and I had LeBlanc, Otacon, Rift Herald, and then a Rengar Unseen Champstone, and guess what? Accelerate, ganking, and Assault, keyword soup as a unit for LeBlanc to copy. Pretty broken. Pretty good. And yeah, Otacon also quite broken and limited. So yeah, I went 6-0 in games on that, and it was never close. But yeah, it was really, really fun. And it definitely, like, getting to play the pre-rifts, I got to see kind of what felt strong. Definitely felt like anyone who pulled the Yi precon was at an advantage. It felt like that deck was really strong, just kind of like baseline, and really easy to augment it in good ways. Felt like blue had a lot of really great combat tricks, like the -4s with the predicts were really good.
Yes.
So it felt like Diana was also like a really good deck. And then outside of that, I think like Ivern and Kha'Zix were standouts to me. I felt a lot of people were not understanding how to use Kha'Zix. Feels like his 2 XP move something back to base almost reads draw a card. Because oftentimes in limited, you're just like develop, conquer, and when you conquer, your opponent is probably just gonna like kill your guy. It's like it's almost always going to happen where they just kill your guy.
Yeah.
So it often felt like I was just drawing a card by not having my guy die when I was able to move it home. So I actually felt Kha'Zix was a lot stronger than I had been seeing people say, which was really cool. But I would still put like Yi and Diana near the top, and then I would put like Ivern and Kha'Zix maybe after that.
Yeah, I saw a lot of tier lists, and everyone was dissing my boy Ivern, which seems crazy to me. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's just like a bunch of exactly like in general.
Yeah,
like the way I've thought about this legend a lot, and the fact that it just forces your battlefield to become his domain is like both very evocative and extremely powerful. So it makes sense that when numbers matter and your battlefields may or may not be relevant, Ivern always having a good battlefield to go to, even when it's not in the game, is pretty sick. So always fun to see people's takes. I feel like I saw every possible combination of pre-rift tier lists you could see. I saw like every legend in D tier and every legend in S tier, I think at some point.
If anyone was putting Yi in D tier, they did not play.
I'm sure it's out there. Well, I'm sure it's out there.
I did have Yi in D tier, but D for dominate the entire pre-rift.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So I did 2 pre-rifts this weekend as well. I also got Kha'Zix twice.
Oh no.
Which was good. The first time I ran him, I also opened an orange Rengar, which was awesome. And I did the cheeky thing of I would run Kha'Zix as my champ zone, the purple Kha'Zix that comes with the pre-rift kit for game 1. And then if I played the Rengar in game 1, I would then use the Rengar as my chosen champ. But if I didn't, I would leave him hidden in my deck.
Wow.
I did get to play Rengar against an Ivern, and he sure is a cat and gets +1 from the brush.
It's true. It is not free. There are other cats out there.
Yeah, there is another big cat. So yeah, Rengar was insane. That pre-rift, I went 2-0-1. Round 1 was an unintentional draw because the rounds were shorter and we just had like really good back and forths. And I was actually very far ahead and lost to top deck make 4 birds on a brush.
Yep.
And then that was game 2 so it was 1-1 draw. Oh, which is fine, but because that was fun. The second time I got Kha'Zix, I got an overnumbered orange Kazakhs, the other one, and I really did not like that card at all. It felt
Mhm.
really not good in any way. I think I used his ability twice, and once was to just trade with the board. It was a Yi board that was like massive. I mean, for what it's worth, I got to do 16. Like I did 8 on the attack and then the other 8 to trade with a 16 board. So it was actually quite relevant there. But yeah, he felt horrific. But because it was the alt art, I had to play him.
Yeah, of course. I think in my set review, I did say unplayable garbage, I think is what I said about that card.
I would back that up. I would back that up. It's real bad. Like you think, and I played Yasuo in set 1, so I'm like, oh, he's like
trash.
I know, I know trash, and I know how to work trash. But Yasuo, I'm like green Yasuo, like stellar, outstanding card. Well, that's because you have the Yasuo ability to effectively give him accelerate. There's just not ways to do that I had access to, at least in Unleashed. And yeah, he was just like, boy, I am playing every other card before him, and then I'll like play him and have 2 XP or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it was also like you have to spend 3 XP in the deck that always has like a 2 XP per turn outlet that they can use that doesn't generate 2 XP per turn.
Yeah.
Unless you some other way, which is like purple Kazakhs would generate more. But like you want to be moving your stuff back to base as Kazakhs, like especially in limited.
Yeah.
Like you're often moving stuff back to base. So yeah, it's tough. Tough for orange Kazakhs out there.
Yeah, I also have been staying, and I'm curious what your experience has been with this cast, with Riftbound Limited in general. I have stuck pretty much true to my, I am going to have just 2 colors of runes, and I don't remember the last time I put a third color. Actually, I do remember. It was in Paris, but I was playing a meme deck that had Time Warp, Dead Bloom Predator, and Orange Volibear in it. Like that deck, I didn't care about winning. I just wanted to play the dumb cards, well, the expensive cards. But I basically am always like 6/6. I don't even do the math. I am not looking at adding the third color of rune to my my rune pool at all. Like how often do you do that?
I don't. So I mean, at this pre-riff season, it was 50-50, right? My first one, I opened a pool where I have like good enough power costed cards in the first 2 colors. I mean, to be honest, the pool was terrible, the first pool. So it was like good enough as in like, okay, these are the colors that I'm mainly gonna play. And I have enough like playables that I'm going to be able to play 2 colors and no power cost in the third color, right? And still play all the good cards that are unpower costed. And I think like when you have the luxury of doing that, it's really, really good. But then my second pool, which was like the 6-0 pool that was like completely broken, but I didn't even open the precon, right? My precon is orange purple. I played yellow blue. I played yellow blue red, right?
Yeah.
So yellow blue red, to get the playables and actually play like good cards, like I need to play power cost for the third color.
Right.
And so like with that being said, like if you just make sure that you're playing, if the cards that are in the third color are like early game cards, like ideally they're not early game cards, right? Because if they're early game cards, you need to play more of that color. You want them to be like,
which you don't want to do.
This is like a late game card that's power costed, and so I can play just like 2 copies of blue in this instance or whatever, right? And then I'll play red and I'll play yellow. And I'll play mainly power cost. I'll go like 5-5-2, right? Or 6-4-2 or something like that. And I think that that's like often quite fine. You don't want to get in the spot where you're playing like a really big split, because then if you draw the half of your deck that's like all the power cost for one color, you just like don't have a playable deck. But it was really fine, and there's like other elements to it as well, right? Like my legend is LeBlanc. If I don't have the power cost for the card that needs certain power, guess what? I'll discard it and make a reflection.
Just discard it.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's like a lot more ways that you can kind of be okay with changing those rune values. Also, if you end up with like in that deck, I also happen to have the Vi Gauntlet. So I know that like red and yellow are going to be really flexible. So it can help me kind of build the pool in that way as like one of my main power outlets. So I'm not like hard and fast that I just want to play 2 colors and then not play the third, but I do give it as advice. If you do have a pool with enough playables, like I do think it's like better for more consistency, but you shouldn't necessarily be like scared away from playing a power cost of like a really
Yeah.
strong card. For instance, in this example, blue I think was one of the colors that I only was playing like 2 blue in the pool, and I was 5/5 2 blue, and one of my blue power costs was Sprite Mother. So that's like a late game card. Like it's going to be turn 4 is the earliest I can play Sprite Mother. So odds are maybe I'll hit one of my 2 blue runes by that time, and it's going to be fine.
Right.
And I think like anytime you see a bomb that's that good, even if the color isn't going to be your main color, you can splash if it's going to be your third, right? Because like that is worth playing. That is worth me seeing this rune at some point and then getting it from there. So there's a lot of just like kind of cool things, or not Sprite Mother, Sprite Queen. Thank you. Yeah. That's like something you really would want to look out for. But so yes and no to answer your question in a very long way.
Yeah,
it's like
no.
It's like yes, I do want to try and stick to 2 colors and then splash the third is like no power cost. But like you can really think like in each spot how it can function, and you could have a variable like LeBlanc, or you could have a variable like just this is a late game bomb, so playing 1 or 2 copies of that rune color can be enough.
I think I also give that as advice for newer players. Like I did a little TikTok on like things you should, if you're a new player going into the pre-rift, and like I tell people like just play the 2 colors from your pack, right? Like play Kha'Zix if you get Kha'Zix, and then add another color, and then just go 6/6 those 2 colors and add the whatever your third color is that you like the cards for. Add the ones without power costs. Now, there's a lot of caveats there, obviously, but like if you're a new player and you want to have like a nice smooth drive through a pre-rift, that's a great way to do it. I think
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go
I got you after. I was gonna say, see, I didn't play in the period, but my new player tip is shout outs to Dunk. Play 25 cards in your period.
Oh, true. Yeah.
Don't play 35. It's not constructed. Don't play 40. It's not it. One of those things. I feel like it's one of those things where I forget, like this is such a thing in TCGs where you're just so used to playing the minimum because math, basically. But yeah, a lot of new players want to play with their cards, which makes a lot of sense. It's very fun. It's very sweet. Don't do it. It makes your deck a lot worse, and your game experience will be way less fun.
Look at all these playables I have. Shuffle them all up. It makes sense as a newer player. It makes sense. Just do it.
It's a universal like card gamer thing to want to do it. Like we've all been at that point in our card game careers where we thought it was a good idea, or like thought that it was more fun. Like fun was higher than the amount of bad idea it was, and then it's like, yeah, but I kind of want to win. And like it's not fun to not draw your good cards. Is what you eventually is what it eventually boils down to. But that's another one where like people will argue with me, and I'm just like, unless you can give me a very strong mathematical reason why you need that one extra card, just don't run it. I guarantee you I can find a card to cut. 100%. But the other thing, and we didn't even mean to go down this tangent, but I just thought of it. My 2 color suggestion is, I guess, largely based on the pre-rift format, not actual sealed and not draft for sure. Draft, I think everything goes out the window in terms of being able to, like, you need to make a playable deck, and it might not be as easy. Well, yeah, I actually have not drafted, so I don't know if it's easier or harder to make a playable deck.
I still somewhat hold the general concept of that still being good for both sealed and draft.
Yeah,
I just think that it's harder to like guarantee that that's where you're gonna be. Right? It was way easier in Spirit Forge with gold, actually. With gold, like I was like way more willing to just like splash power costs and still play like 7/5 or 6/6. But like
you also in the other, like in pre-rift, you're going to have a ton of playables. True. In at least 2 of the colors, right? So like you open Kha'Zix, you can just play a purple orange deck and not add anything else if you don't want to. I wouldn't suggest that, and it's also a lot less fun, but you're probably not going to need to add anything else to make that a legal and pretty decent deck. Whereas in regular 6-pack sealed, you could be painted a bit more into a corner where you have to
Well,
lean more into that. But
quickly, just to tie up the pre-rift topic before we move on, third color gets to happen here, so you get to play weird things that wouldn't exist before. What was the most interesting like thing that can't happen in constructed thing that you got to see from your pre-rift? I can start while you're thinking of one, Blev.
Yes.
But for my LeBlanc deck, I had 2 of the elephants. I can't remember exactly what it's called. The Pyrophant. It is a red card.
literally the card that was on top of my pile of cards. That's
Yep, powering.
crazy.
Yep, there you go. It says,
Literally
if
the
the
top
unit
card
died this
just in
turn,
front of
I
me.
enter ready. It is a 6 energy, 6 might with assault. And I was playing this in a LeBlanc deck, so I would have a reflection on board. My turn would start. The reflection would die, and now these are just like accelerate units in my hand, which was like insanely broken on top of an already very broken deck. But that felt really, really cool, and it's like this works with like sprites as well in like red blue or whatever. I mean, maybe there's some constructed element. I think the card's probably like a little too bad, but maybe not. But it was just like very cool, like, for LeBlanc specifically. Like, she does not have access to these cards, but with the in limited with the reflections, I got to use it, and that was really cool.
Okay, so I don't have a specific like color breaking thing that happened, but 2 really quick things. One is I got to play this limited all-star, but that will
Let's
probably
go.
never see play in
Oh,
Constructed.
Meduli's
fire.
Meduli, the gatekeeper. I just loaded him
That's
up
my
with
boy.
equipment, and he was just absolutely domainating, which is great. The equipment that the like hunter's machete or whatever
Hunter's
that
machete, yeah.
gives hunt. Yeah, Meduli was eating.
He was hunting.
Is what I'll say. He was great. And then the other one was just a really cool story, where I'm playing against opponent and they discarded something. I can't remember what it was, but they discarded a card, and it was a Vile Maw, and I'm like, This was like early in the game. Like, that's an interesting one to discard. We're playing this late game, late on. I go at attack. They play a second Vile Maw from hand. So they discard the first one to make me think, like, what card could they not possibly have in their hand? Of course, they're not going to have a second Vile Maw. It was not only a second one; it was an alt art one. So I got completely blown out by the second Vile Maw. Which is,
I feel like I would have the opposite rate of you there. I feel like I would be like, oh, they must have one, like another one. Because why are we giving this card up? Like, it doesn't take that many turns to get to 8.
I think in a constructed game, I would 100% agree with that, Reed. But in limited, what are the chances that they opened a second one?
There's no way they opened 2, right? There's no way.
But here we are. And here we are is on the eve, not quite the eve, but leading up into Sydney and also the Chinese regional event. We have got our first English our first big events for Unleashed coming up here. So wanted to talk a little bit about some of the decks that are taking up an early lead in the Unleashed metagame, as unproven as it is right now, but a nice little look at what we might see in Sydney and beyond. Cass,
Whatever I'm doing is not the metagame. I can tell you that much. I am in the kitchen brewing every possible baited hook list. Whatever I'm doing, don't look at that. But Cass probably has a better idea of what's actually happening.
Well, so it's really interesting. There's been a few online events. There is going to be, I believe, an Indianapolis event coming up. I think it's Nerd Rage Gaming. I think that's this upcoming weekend, which will be like the first, because it'll be the weekend of release. And the online events, there has been a lot of Aurora in different shades. Master Yi, MF, Sivir, even some Poppy showing up in the Aurora sphere. And then there's been a good amount of LeBlanc, and there's been a good amount of even mid-range Yi with the like very cool, like the Rengar stuff. Like it's really
so
powerful. I think that one is kind of like is a very quick knowledge check that's going to go away fast, where like, wow, my Master Yi opponent has 5 runes available. Maybe I shouldn't send less than 8 might to this battlefield on this turn if I can't beat it. and get Renguard. Because I think a lot of people are getting Renguard right now, and they shouldn't be. But
For sure.
the card is still gonna be good, like regardless of that, right? Like whether or not people get past the 2 inch tall check of trying to figure out to not swing into the 5 energy open Master Yi, it's still like a way for Master Yi to ambush in 6 might from hand, which is like just 6 might accelerate that helps Master Yi conquer, which has been always been a difficulty for him, and just kind of gives you that potential out of like Lonely Poro dies, Death Knells, you see the Rengar off the top and you have runes open, you just like slam it.
Yep.
So there's a lot of ways that it can kind of still impact the game and still be pretty good for Yi in general. We've seen a lot of this like LeBlanc, which is very proactive tempo. Karthus LeBlanc is kind of how I'd put it. I was talking to Pastry a little bit about this deck before the show, and to me, it feels like a very strong deck. It is doing a really powerful thing. In my mind, it is bullying a bunch of unrefined lists and is way too linear to actually end up being one of the best decks in the format, is my current opinion. I think it currently feels like one of the best decks in the format because it's really strong. Like when you push in a Sentry and copy it and gank to the other side on Hillock and then play Karthus on that turn, and then you're guaranteed to like draw 4 cards going into the next turn, you're like, wow, this deck is really broken. Like, and that's true. And that is a very strong thing that you're doing. But end of the day, I think there's a lot of ways that it just ends up getting beat. It gets kind of bullied by like Falling Star, like big removal type stuff. It gets bullied by not being able to push over holds because it's actually just like not as much might as you would want. But it can still get around that with like Hidden Blade and Call the Weak and some other, like yellow spells. There's like ways, there's tools in this like toolbox to get there. But I'm not convinced that LeBlanc ends up being like one of the best decks in that way. I think that LeBlanc has a lot of like deck building experimentation that can still happen, and this deck may very well just be one of the best decks in the format. But I don't know if I'm fully sold on this like Karthus Death Knell build yet being the end all be all for LeBlanc and the end all be all for the format. I think there's just I feel like Draven's gonna draw infinite cards into this thing. There's a lot of issues.
I think it also like a deck that relies or even heavily utilizes Karthus like has a built-in like pressure valve of just start playing Falling Star again. Like,
yeah,
that was the reason it wasn't. It was like when we saw Karthus and Heimerdinger and all those like cool backline champions, it was like, oh, that's cool, but Falling Star exists, so we can't play them. And then Falling Star is not as prevalent as it was, at least in Origins. So it's like, oh, we can play Karthus again. No, you can't. You probably can't. But we haven't obviously seen the like back and forth. There has not obviously been enough time to do that. I actually have from Rift decks, there's like pretty much all of the Chinese city challenges and other events they have like cataloged on the website, and they've got it broken into like like 3-star tournaments, so like bigger tournaments. The deck that has the most top 8s for the like highest level of tournaments for Unleashed, which are usually about 128 players, is Old School Master Yi at 34 top 8s, and then LeBlanc at 32.
With it's BO1, right?
Aurelia.
I remember the City Challenge format correctly.
It might be.
I mean, there's a lot until top 8.
There's a lot of things that are. There's a lot of things to take with a grain of salt with these results, to say the least. But it is sort of an initial, like, at least in terms of popularity, and like, even if it's BO1, like top 8ing 128 player tournament is nothing to sneeze at.
The holistic results of these still matter. It's always how I talk to people about this is like, you need to take the individual decks and individual events with like a huge grain of salt. Like, do not like, you can't just like dive into that as like, oh, that's going to be incredible. But when you look at the full data set of all these city challenges, like, end of the day, sometimes you're going to have some skew because of the best of one to get to top 8, right? There's going to be like some decks that are better. Like, I think Aurora is a better best of 1 deck than it is like a best of 3 deck, for instance. And I think that will skew some of that like Aurora data. But also like, yeah, if it's 34 Ys and 32 LeBlancs is like the most too, like clearly those two decks are gonna be somewhat of a meta like house. They're gonna exist, right? The question is like how things refine over time and like do they still end up being towards the top? We've seen metas for every single set evolve over the course of the set, though we have seen some like early rises stay at the top. I think like Draven and Aurelia are great examples. They were at the top pretty much the entire time for Spirit Forge, and then it was even like even like post ban list, like they were still, you know, two of the top decks, if not the two best decks, right? Even if they weren't like always winning the tournament, they're still like the best decks. And I think it was kind of the same in Origins, where it's like Kai'Sa and Yi were established pretty early. I personally think Yi kind of fell off power level wise, but it was still a good deck. I'm not going to deny it was a good deck. I just think like end of the day, it was probably like Annie and Kai'Sa were probably the best two decks, and then Yi was like third or fourth or something like that.
Yasuo. What?
Yeah, Yasuo really snuck out at the very end, but some of the other like cool decks that are doing really really well. Azir got another one cost equipment, and everyone who was like, yeah, that'll probably make the deck continue to be kind of broken was correct. I think the deck is still very very good.
Yep.
And then also the one that was like surprising but not that surprising in the sense that when we were looking at Unleashed cards coming out, we were like, wow, these colors and these color combos got like a ton of help. However, it's like hard to think of those decks as being like top tier decks. Is actually like yellow orange. It's like Set and Fiora both got a ton of help in Unleashed. I think like Sacrifice is an absurd card for both of these decks, and just actually giving them access to card draw. And I just think like overall getting a lot of help from these events, and we've seen both Fiora and Set actually have like significantly better results. There was even like a Set build that was using Soraka and Sacrifice to pull some shenanigans. I can't remember the exact like full line of it, but he won 2 City challenges on Set. The same guy with like different Set builds. And so there's like some really weird like tech coming out of the like yellow orange legends that we were just seeing the beginning of. There is they got a lot of great cards in Unleashed, and it's very possible that both of these legends or that color combo could find its way near the top of the meta as things continue to get figured out, because I think a lot of like en masse players are just like tunneling on LeBlanc, Aurora, even Vex I think is getting like tunneled on, as a lot of people like very interested in the deck. And so like some of these decks that maybe are or maybe aren't 100% going to be the best because there are so many legends to look at are getting a lot more attention, and therefore getting more refined decks way faster than some of these other decks. And if they catch up and maybe they actually are better, it remains to be seen. It's really hard to tell this early on. So like Sydney is super exciting for me, right? Like a huge event with like a bunch of people is going to be
so funny, because now I feel like we have to start thinking about the game more about domains and what the identity of those domains are, because we have to consider 40 signature spells as like the other half of your calculus. I guess there's not quite that many because there's like 2 years, for example, right? So but the the amount of stuff you have to think about now is ridiculous. And I think it makes more sense to look at what domains got good cards and support versus what is LeBlanc doing, what is Set doing, etc. I mean, I've seen some wild stuff. I've seen Aurelia with 3 Barons and 3 Scotter Crabs in her main deck. So yeah, I don't know. There's stuff, people trying stuff, I guess we can say, which is always a fun time. I will say that the good cards that look good are good. Like Back Off is just a good card. Like if you don't waste your like general card evaluation. Like, oh, a card that like stuns and potentially draws a card that like doesn't have a power cost that I can also hide is like, yeah, it turns out that card's good. But everything else, macro archetypes, I don't know. Too hard, too early.
I mean, I'm gonna sound like I'm fanboying like I always do, but I've got their pretty decent little Lucian list.
Oh no, here it comes.
Quite good with the Fey Folk, Charms. The
Nidalee. That little shit. That card is so good.
Card's so good when you give it equipment, and Nidalee is also just like another way to draw cards in that deck that really wants to draw cards.
Orange Kai'Sa card's pretty good.
Yeah, it's.
Are you playing Brambleback combo in that, or are you just playing the good cards? I mean, Brambleback's not a bad card, to be clear, but I was curious if you were gonna add it to the combo.
No, I basically like went from the previous list and was like, okay, what cards don't I need right now, and what are I was like, what are the good cards that I definitely want to play from Unleashed? And it's like, well, this Fey Folk thing seems busted, and Nidalee is another Kai'Sa, so I want to run those. Yeah, Irresistible Feyfolk
So cute.
is yes, very cute. So cute that you should come to this battlefield and fight it. And yeah, Nidalee being Orange Kaisa seems
Yeah. It really
pretty
needed
good.
ambush, it wasn't a good enough unit if it didn't have ambush. Really needed
Yeah,
that.
for
So
sure.
put
No,
little stuff.
I'm with you, Facery. It did need it. Yeah.
I mean, that to me feels like a difference too in general. It's like ambush just, we were talking about this before we started, but like Spirit Forward is like, here's a new card type, right? Here's gear being actually relevant in the game. We didn't really utilize gear at all in Origins, right? It was just spells and units. And then equipment comes out, it's like, oh, that's fun. That's like pretty straightforward. Like it feels like an added dimension to the game that it was missing, and now we kind of have the game in its completeness. And now we're kind of getting to like, okay, what have they cooked up since then? Like what's new? Because I felt like the first two sets were like kind of like establishing the game. And every unit having ambush and everything having a reaction speed something that you could potentially play is definitely a different dimension to the game, even if the scope of things like the macro of the game maybe didn't shift as much as it did from Origins to Spirit Forge. But like now when you go in, you're like, do they have a spell? Is it a hidden card? Is a hidden card a unit? If they have an ambush unit, do they have an ambush unit and a spell? Do they have, I don't know, like something else, a piece of gear with quick draw? Like you have to consider so much now when runes are open. And I think the days of just slamming all your runes to play Ferris Forerunner and passing aren't over, because that card's still really good, but much more decisions now about like, when do I leave runes open, when do I not, and what can I afford to beat and what can't I? Because if you make the decision to leave something up and your opponent doesn't buy it, you waste so many resources doing nothing. But if they do and you mess them up for going in, then yeah, I mean, tough to come back. So the game feels like already had a lot of depth and feels even more so now. So very cool set, but like very painful in terms of like thinking about what you're playing around, because you have to play around so much now.
Yeah, and so everybody in droves is flocking towards a strategy where you don't really have to play around what your opponent is doing too much.
You just tap out every turn.
They're picking up Aurora.
Oh, here we go. We're back.
Just getting Elder Dragon. And the discourse around Aurora is back. Does it need to be banned? Is it too good? Are the play patterns too unhealthy? That's the more nuanced take on, like, it's not actually too strong, but it should still be banned because it feels really toxic to play against. And I think of anybody calling for bans, I think for me personally, those are the players I can understand the most. I don't like 100% disagree with them, in the sense that I do think Aurora has caused a lot of games, especially for like newer players, where they feel incredibly frustrated by having to play into Aurora and feeling like they're just getting luck sacked into, did this card get played on turn 3 and then I just lose the game and I can't interact. So I get that. But Elder Dragon has certainly added another dimension to this card and how good it can be. And we're still kind of in that phase where Dazzling Aurora struggles to play games outside of the actual games that it finds Aurora, unlike in Origins, where the deck was very good at, if it found Aurora, that was great, and if not, it could play pretty well around just like a Mind Splitter. It's still at a top level. The pilots that are winning a lot more than losing are winning games where they don't find Aurora. It is something they're still having to navigate, but the deck is often needing to rely on the card a lot more and has a lot more consistency in actually finding it. There's like Scryer's Bloom got added to purple as another way to dig 3 cards deeper. There's the 3-cost Lunar Boon, I think Lunar or something. That's like the discard 1, draw 2. There's just additional ways to dig, even though Called Shot has been taken away. And Elder Dragon is a pretty messed up card. Just end all be all of it. It's pretty hard to deal with. The playing around it itself is not inherently that difficult, but just the power level of it is incredibly high. It reads any amount of your damage is enough to kill enemy units. That came with a rule change. It just redefines what lethal damage is, meaning that only 1 damage is lethal, meaning that if it swings into a board of 10 things, it can assign 1 damage to each of them and kill them, which is different than how you would expect normal combat to go, which is quite crazy. And then it also says when you play me, choose up to 1 enemy unit at each location, deal 1 to them. So if you do stack battlefields, that can mean that the first Elder Dragon coming down doesn't actually wipe your board, and you can look to play around it. But I think a lot of people are running into early Auroras where they like go double conquer and leave a unit at base, and then Elder Dragon is the first hit off Aurora and wipes their board, and the game is over.
Yep.
You
can move a unit too, if you want to.
Yeah, not to say it's like easy to play around it. It's just that it's like there is counterplay, and I'm curious if this will be the broken deck that it feels like it is as of right now. When it's just a very easy deck to build, and then it's relatively easy to pilot after that. So early success for Aurora just kind of makes a lot of sense.
Oh, you can not so fast this, I realized. That's fun.
You can, yeah.
The second part. Also, unyielding resolve through this too. There's like a bunch of other. I think there's a bunch.
There's a lot of counterplay.
Yeah. Man, how does this happen every time? I think that Aurora is a cool deck, and I think when Origins gets reallocated, reprinted, whatever is happening in like sometime I think this month in May, I will probably look to pick some up when the price drops and enjoy my time with the deck. I think it's cool that this archetype exists. I think having a good RAM strategy is like a fun thing in card games. I think representing lots of different deck styles, if the metagame is healthy, is good. And I think Aurora is in a unique category that is cool, right? There's like a rampy combo deck where it's kind of feast or famine. When you hit, it feels amazing. You feel like you can never lose. When you don't hit, you have to navigate some pretty rough games at a handicap to try and overcome them. And then, there's whatever spectrum of games you get in the middle of that. I also think it's like just a massive skill issue that people can't beat this deck. Like, I think this deck is probably better than its results in the first two sets. I think skilled Aurora pilots were like pretty rare in the first, like in Origins and Spirit Forge. I think this deck was probably better than its results because not that many people who were competent at the archetype I felt played it, and those that did relatively well. But there's just no way that this needs to be banned. Just absolutely zero way. If this gets banned before Unleashed is done as a season, I will be shocked. I just don't think this ever needs to be banned in the current state of the game. And there's like a 1% chance I'm wrong, but like, I don't know. Seems very unlikely. How do I explain this to people? It's like, I don't know, just like get good. Like it's so like the kind of play is there. Like you have all the texts on the card that you need. Like everything you need is written down in the game. Like there's gear removal. Like there's ways to like counter what units they have. There's like an interesting metagame of like, do they bring different things? Do they side in different things? Like there's like your macro plan matters. Like everything points to like finding a way to play around this card. And I get that it feels bad when you like play your game and get mogged on like turn 4 because they high rolled you. But like, I don't know, just like it's fine. Like there's still ways out of games after that. Like maybe it feels bad to use your inventory like sideboard slots. I don't know. I don't understand why this card feels so bad. I just think like I actually don't get it. Like it's really obvious what the deck's gonna do. It's very powerful, but like it's what's happening.
We have a decent sized like flesh and blood convert audience, and I think that the best way, or maybe not even convert, they play both games sometimes, but like the best way for me to describe it is it's the Kano tax. Like it is just, if you respect it, it's very beatable. Like there's so many different ways that you can kind of counter this deck in a lot of different avenues, and if you don't respect it, you will lose. You will lose to it when it is there. But you may never see it, so you don't have to respect it because you may never see it. It's not going to be the highest percentage of the metagame. Maybe it will be in Unleashed. Who knows? But it might be at
specifically Sydney. But that would be, I think.
Yeah, maybe at Sydney with their
Sydney day one.
It will not convert well. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah,
this deck is not going to convert well.
Think so.
We'll talk about
if you respect it. It's super beatable, and if you don't respect it, you'll lose. And it was the same for Kano and Fab, right? Like if you respect it, deck was very beatable. If you bring your spellboard, you bring your stuff.
The calling.
If you don't, then Kano's gonna win the event. Like it just is what it is.
And if you were skilled, you navigated the non-games better than your average player, and won games you shouldn't have won. Like it's great. It's skill testing, but it's very telegraphed. So I think that's a great analogy.
Yeah, I think that to answer your question, Pastry, like why do people hate this so much more than other things?
Yeah,
I have a theory that it's just it magnifies the delta between the winning player and the losing player in a game in a very obvious way. Where like if your opponent has turn 3 Aurora and then they get an Elder Dragon, it's very obvious that they have done a very powerful thing and that they are likely going to win the game. Whereas if you strand your, like, for instance, if a Lucian player plays their Lucian on their turn 1, and then it gets charmed by the Aurelia player, they may be like, "Ah, shucks, I lost my Lucian." Whereas I'm the person who has played, dozens of that that matchup, I'm like, you just lost the game because you walked into charm. It's just not obvious to you yet. You're going to lose in 5 turns rather than this giant dragon that comes down and shows you very obviously that you've lost. I think that there's a difference there. And now, granted, you can play around the charm maybe easier than you could play around the turn 3 Aurora, but also some decks are just going to win in a way that you can't interact with. And that's maybe a bigger discussion, but I don't think so. Like, that is going to happen. Someone needs to win the game in Riftbound in any card game, right? It's just, I think Aurora's game plan magnifies that difference between the winning player and the losing player very obviously. And I agree, like, you can play around the deck, you can build around it, and if you do, sometimes the deck will still win, right? Like, that's that is still going to happen, but it may end up being a bar to entry, right? Like a barrier to entry. Like, your deck needs to be able to do this well to play. And that's the case for everything. It's just, this is a very obvious and glaring amount. Like, a new build of Lucian that I am working on is a hyper aggro, like, no Ferris Forerunners, no top end. Like, Kaisa is the top end, and only because she has accelerate, like, it's just going to try to win as fast as possible. And it's like, yeah, you play your Aurora early. I counter it. I prevent all damage, and then I win the next turn, or I win in 2 turns. I can beat 1 Elder Dragon if I can counter the activation, right? Like, I don't know if that's good enough. That's my, like, next brew here. If the meta is like a lot of Aurora, you might have to do that. You might have to build your deck slightly different. In the same way that if the meta is a lot of Kaisa, you need to be running things to do that. Or if it's a lot of Yi, you need to be running. Your deck needs to adjust to the meta, right? And I think that for some reason people feel that it's okay to be like anti-Aurora. And people have jumped onto that, and I don't know. I don't buy it either. I think it's not. I don't think it's going to be impressive.
I feel like people did not complain this much about pre-ban Draven, which is insane given how good that deck was.
Wild.
And like,
I
that
think
deck also asked you to do. I mean, maybe.
Like,
but that deck also
all my
asked you
opponent
to
did
do
was draw 7
things.
cards. That doesn't win them the game.
Yeah, that also asks you to do specific things against your opponent's play patterns. And like, Aurora is probably a top 5 deck right now, but I think it was probably pretty close to a top 5 deck last set too. It's just like,
definitely wasn't Origins. Like 100% was in Origins.
No, but I think it's Spirit Forge. It was close, like closer than people think. Like, the deck is good, and the deck certainly is good now. But I don't know, like, maybe you're just not used to playing around it. It's something. It's just wild to me how we've had. I feel like Elder Dragon got spoiled, Baron got spoiled. Everyone called for the ban, and now, like, however many weeks have passed, and then it's happening again, and I feel like I'm losing my mind.
I swear to God, I'll soapbox about the goddamn Baron Aurora thing again. It's so god awful in Aurora. It's like actually so bad. People were complaining about it like crazy. It's like, I think you're actively losing percentage points for your Aurora deck if you put Baron in your deck. Like, it's like you just give a 3rd battlefield for your opponent to conquer. And I've heard like, oh, but it's hard to push over 12. And it's like, in set 3, is it hard to push over 12?
Have you heard of the card Punch First?
Like I feel like so many decks, like, if your deck is like not pushing over 12, I mean, I feel like you either bricked a little bit, or like the deck is just like not that good. I mean,
try beating a stacked Vex battlefield if you can't push 12.
Like, I guess turn 3 Aurora, like, hit Baron. Maybe you haven't developed enough if you're like more of a mid-range build, but like, I mean, realistically,
but what if they also hit anything off of a turn 3 Aurora?
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's you wouldn't beat anything else, but you, like, your percentage of just like killing the Aurora player on the spot if they flip Baron instead of flipping a Mind Splitter or a Elder Dragon, I feel like so much higher. Like,
the other thing about the whole Aurora discussion is like, are people, if for me to take you seriously, you also have to factor in the games where they don't draw Aurora and you just won for free. Like, please talk to me about those games too in your evaluation. So. Yeah,
there's such a deck building cost, and I think people just like, there's such an incredible amount of confirmation bias happening here, where they just like see the, like, it's the bad beat thing all over again, right? You talk to someone after a poker tournament, they will never tell you how lucky they got in all these hands or how well they played in all these spots. They'll only tell you where they busted, right? And how unlucky they got and how much of a bad beat it was. It's the same thing. It's like, oh, they had it and I got unlucky. I'm like, yeah, what happened the other game one where they had 4 units in their hand? They were fucking uncastable and like never did anything. Like there's such a cost to playing this deck, which is the reason it is so powerful, right? That is the whole point. You are sacrificing a bunch of different things to create a like wider swing of things that happen in the game, because the thing you do when you get to do it on time is very powerful. But even then, it's not unbeatable. So I don't know. I'm blowing up. That's all I could say.
Well, the thing that we get to do on time this episode is end our show. That is going to be a wrap on
Can't
this
wait
one.
for the
Again,
comments on this one.
yes,
Get involved, people.
Cannot wait for the hate that we're going to get for defending Aurora here, but that's okay because it's our show and we can cry if we want to. But if you want to cry in the comments of this very podcast. And also check out shop.turnthemsideways.gg for those awesome new playmats coming soon. But that is going to be it for this episode. Forecast for Paystream for the whole Turn 'em Sideways crew. I am Blevins. We'll see you on the next one.